Hello, hello. Welcome. My name is Meredith Edwards, and I love offering creative inspiration based on spiritual principles in really practical ways. And I'm going live with you now to offer a little bit of sacred space. And this week, I wanted to talk about acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Acknowledgement as a tool for conscious creativity. So we are creating our lives every day. We are the artists of our lives. And it's really up to us whether we want to be conscious creators or not. And I offer this tool of acknowledgement as a way to become more conscious and present and aware of your creative process and of how you're creating your life, because that's what it's all about, is the awareness of it, is how you're able to then make changes. And then to also remain connected. Welcome to all those who are joining. Acknowledgement. We're talking about acknowledgement. And so what is acknowledgement? It is the act of recognition, recognizing something, someone, some act. Acknowledgement is shedding light on something. And I have a joke with a friend that, at the end of the day, all we really want is to be acknowledged by our parents. We all have that, regardless of how old you are, if your parents are even still here or not. But that, at the end of the day, there's this intrinsic desire to have been acknowledged by our parents. And I think so much of that need of acknowledgement, especially I see it coming out in artists a lot, of wanting validation for your work and acknowledgement for your work, of course, because it's coming from the heart and you're pouring your blood, sweat, and tears and heart into it. So it's very personal, and you're not always getting anything in return from it. So the acknowledgement is really important. And so I joke around with my friend. Hi, welcome to those who are joining. I joke around with my friend that I'm going to get a t-shirt made that says, Daddy, are you proud? Daddy, are you proud? As I sent my father a photo of my patio, and I was all nervous and excited to show him a photo of my patio, and I was I just want him to be proud of me. I don't think that that ever leaves. And the hard truth is that many of us did not get the acknowledgement that we needed as children. Most of us probably did not. Or maybe not as much as we needed or wanted or desire still. And so the practice that I offer you today is giving yourself the acknowledgement that you deserve and that you desire. And it might be a little uncomfortable, and it might feel fake, or maybe it feels great, I don't know. But we're not always going to get outside validation and acknowledgement for the things that we do. And the truth is, many of the things that we do, especially as artists and the artists of our lives and as conscious creators, we are doing it on our own. We might not have a team that we're creating with to give us feedback. And we might have a team and we still might not be getting the acknowledgement that we desire. And so I think forming a practice of learning how to acknowledge yourself is really helpful. And I bring this up because I don't ever bring up these things unless I actually have a direct experience and relationship with them. But acknowledgement is something I have been actively practicing for myself over the last few months specifically. because I am in the midst of creating a lot right now. I'm kind of in like a creative den, a creative cave. And I recognize that my relationship with my creative projects were so much more fulfilling and exciting, and I got so much more out of them when I took the time to acknowledge my progress. Because for me, a lot of my projects, as I mentioned before, are solo right now, because some of them are in the beginning stages, and I'm writing. And writing is, you might have a writing partner, but even so, you might be doing some writing on your own. And it's hard, right? There's a lot of resistance that comes up in creative life, a lot of blocks, a lot of doubt. You sometimes get lost in it, and it can be discouraging. So the act of acknowledgement has helped me reflect on what I am accomplishing and what I am fulfilling and what I am doing. And I think so often we can put our energy towards what we're not doing, what's not working out, and how we're so far behind, and that comparative mindset when, oh, but look at what she's doing and what he's doing, and he's already here in his career, and she's already here with her family, she has this house and this project, and she is this agent, or whatever it is. We all do that. And so it's this scarcity mindset of I don't have enough, I'm not doing enough, that we are overlooking what we are doing. And it kind of goes back to gratitude, what we've talked about a lot here. But acknowledgement is the act of recognition, of shining light on what you're proud of, what you are doing, what is serving you. And so I recommend doing this as a ritual, as a form of a ritual, once a week, once a day. I've had practices with it where I've done it once a day. And as kind of taking inventory at the end of my day, like, these are the things that I've done today. And I am so shocked sometimes. It is, and maybe it's different. It might be different, for each of us. We all have a different relationship with these things. But for me, I often feel like I'm not doing enough. And when I take time to acknowledge what I did do that day, I'm usually so surprised. I'm like, wow, I actually did a lot more than I thought I did, or that I realized in this moment now, because I didn't complete something, but it inspires me, it fills me up, and it helps me continue, it helps me go on. And it's been, I have to say, since I've taken this on as a ritual in my own conscious creative life, I have gotten a lot more done. And I think it's because I'm taking the time, and I've created a lot more. And I think it is because I'm putting that energy into recognize what I am doing, and I'm honoring that. And so I'm focusing on that versus what I'm not doing. And so it's kind of I'm reconditioning that mindset, because I am someone who is often, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I've battled with that forever, and maybe many of you can relate. Knowing your strengths and words, right? I see self-care, self-love. Yep, it's a form of self-care and self-love. And it's a practice. It's a practice that you have to actually actively do. You can't just say, oh yeah, I acknowledge myself. It's like, no, part of the conscious, what makes it conscious is that you actually take the time to tune into what you want to recognize, what you want to shed light on, what you want to acknowledge in yourself. And so a simple way to do it is just to make a list. You can write it down. A simple way to do it is to close your eyes and really just take a moment to say, what do I want to acknowledge about about my progress? And it's also just a way to check in and take inventory of what you've accomplished and like get real about, you know, where you are going. And maybe it's actually veering off track, actually. Like a good way to stay in alignment with your vision, your dreams, your creative goals is to always put that mission at the forefront. And if the things that you are doing on a day-to-day basis aren't in alignment with that goal, then it's time to question that. To get real and get honest, and to take the time to pause and look at how we are actively creating our lives, because the day-to-day journey is the creation. If we are the artists of our lives, then the day-to-day doings, that's the creation right there. So I invite you to take a moment with me now to practice this, okay? And you're here, and this is just going to be a creative exploration, a time for you to take some sacred space for yourself. So please, wherever you are, I invite you to tune in with me now. Please close your eyes if you can, if it is safe to do so. And our intention here is to acknowledge ourselves. And so first, just take a moment to tune into your breath. And allow your face to soften. Allow the body to soften. Notice if you might be gripping anywhere or holding, or there might be some tension or some awkwardness. And that's okay. Just allow yourself to soften, to receive your own guidance and wisdom and acknowledgement. A relaxed mind is a creative mind is one of my favorite mantras. So taking this time to relax the body and the mind. It's during these times that we are able to hear ourselves a little bit more clearly, because we're not being bombarded by outside forces, which we are bombarded by that quite often. So although my voice is guiding this experience, you are having your own experience, all your own. That's yours. And you can use this time ultimately as you like. So I want to drop in the question, what would you like to acknowledge about yourself today? How might you acknowledge yourself today? And so for our purposes today, acknowledgement is to recognize, to shed light, to maybe uplift, to pat on the back. In what way can you acknowledge yourself today? And if that's hard, you can imagine, use your imagination as a tool. Imagine a best friend acknowledging you, or a parent. And if that's too complicated, just stay with where you are. How can you acknowledge yourself today? And then I want you to put it into this sentence in your mind. I acknowledge myself in the following ways, and then name them. Today, I acknowledge myself in the following ways. And just maybe there's a lot, like let them come out. Maybe it could be as simple as I got up, I got out of bed, woo, good job. Sometimes that's hard. I drank water today, that was great. I allowed myself to look at the beautiful flowers that I pass by, that I normally just pass by and don't even care to acknowledge or recognize. So in that case, you're acknowledging your acknowledgement. Double points for that one. So it doesn't have to be this big, ginormous thing. It can be a small thing. And so just stay with it. We're going to stay in the sacred space. And I invite you to close your eyes here, because the closing of the eyes is an invitation inward. So it just helps us get a little bit more connected to our inner world, when so much of our life is spent looking outward for guidance, looking outward for acknowledgement, which can be great at times, but the act of going inward is a really important, helpful tool that you have at your disposal every day. Okay, so these are the ways that you have acknowledged yourself today. And let's all take a deep breath in and out as a way to just cleanse that part of the ritual. And still stay with me with your eyes closed if you can. And then now I want you to bringing it outward, taking it from the self, and then bringing it outward into your community. So these are your relationships with people, with family, with colleagues, with the guy at the deli, the people that you see every day or regularly. And so I drop in the question, how might you acknowledge in this moment? I'm not asking you to share with them right now, but how might you acknowledge the people in your life? Who in your life could use a little bit of your acknowledgement just right now in this moment? This acknowledgement is so generous to recognize and shed light on them. And you can put it in a sentence. I would like to acknowledge blank, this person, for blank. And I get really clear with this sentence, because then it makes it really clear. And then it really helps us connect to it just a little bit more, to get a little bit more familiar, because this might be uncomfortable for some of you. Maybe it's not. But sometimes we don't take the time to think about how we might want to recognize or acknowledge someone in our own heart. But it can really bring a lot of gratitude and grace. And again, it's shedding light on that which is working and what we have versus what we don't. We'll just have a few more moments here, acknowledging the people in your life that you'd like to acknowledge in this moment, big or small. It could be for the woman today who picked up your pencil for you, or someone who gave you directions. It could be for the grocery store person who was just kind when you were having a rough time. Acknowledging these moments in our day actually brings more of them. Because again, we are putting it out into the world, into the universe, into the energy that we like this. We see this. I see you. And it kind of opens up these pathways to start noticing them more. And then they make a mark. They make impressions on us. They change us in small and big ways. So together, let's take a deep breath in and out. And staying with me for the last part of this ritual, which is moving outward just one more step. And what might bring you acknowledgement? Or what might you acknowledge in the world? Just kind of going outward one more time. So we were with the self, and then we were with our community, our relationships, and now we're going outward even more. We're just expanding the view. And this might be a little bit more metaphysical or abstract, like ideas or beauty or the environment or your work or your spirituality or I don't know. But just taking another moment to invite in acknowledgement. Acknowledgement for your world, whatever that means for you. Big or small, whatever comes to your mind or comes into your heart. And then you can really get it clear and get it down and say this out loud or in your head. I want to acknowledge blank in the world. Or make this sentence work for you, but getting really specific and really clarifying that acknowledgement. And together here, let's take a deep breath in and out. And just take a moment to let that acknowledgement settle and just notice if you feel any different or the same, or just notice if there are any shifts that have taken place or any surprises. Just taking a moment to reflect, to maybe process a little bit about that experience. And whenever you're ready, you can come back and open your eyes if they were closed. Acknowledgement. And this is a practice that you can do every day, or when you need a little boost, a little uplifting. And I think it's really good to give that back to yourself, and to also then, shut it out to people who you want to acknowledge, really seeing them and sending them that energy. And if you feel so called to let them know, please do. I had this experience last night where I was at a friend's house, and I told her, and it just made me feel so good to tell her. Like, I really wanted to tell her that, like, she's a friend I've known for a very long time, but we've been able to really reconnect because when I moved to LA and she lives in LA, and I was like, I unconditionally love you. Like, regardless of what you say or what you do, like, I love you. Because we were having this, with another friend, having some really deep conversation about death and relationships. And I just wanted her to know that I unconditionally loved her, like family, and that was really special. We were talking about family, and that was really special for me, and it felt really good to express that. So if you feel so called to express that to someone, let them know. And in the same way that you've expressed it to them, you can express it to yourselves. So, like, I had like an acknowledgement party on Saturday night when I finished this draft of my pilot, and I sent it out to this Film Fatales. I'm a part of a group called Film Fatales, which is all about, it's female directors. And we have a writers group. And for the first time ever, I sent my pilot out. And I was like so nervous and like emotional. And I just took a moment to like acknowledge myself that I did it, that I freaking did it. Like, I pushed past all the resistance and all the fears, and I sat my butt down and I did it. And it took a lot of effort and hard work, and I did it, and it felt really good to acknowledge myself. And so I'm getting more in the practice and more used to doing this. You just have that conversation with your best friend too, bless. We gotta let them know, you know? Thank you. Your heart is open and your light is bright. I appreciate that. I laid it down, Bex. I laid it down. Yeah, so that's part of my 3-step process my 3-step creative process. Number 1, you dream it up, just like we did. We just took some. You probably realize by now, if you're tuning in with me every week on these, that I always follow this process, is to take a moment to dream it up, and that's part of that visioning, that imagination, that tuning inward, to reflect and use our imagination to get really clear. That's like the dream it up phase. And then the second part is laying it down. And the laying it down, you know, with my best friend last night, it was to tell her, to express that to her. That's laying it down. That's making it like real and making it tangible and bringing it out of my head and into form. So laying it down for you after our little ritual here could be writing it down. You're kind of laying it down right now because we're talking about it, we're reflecting on it, and maybe I hope you're reflecting on it as we're talking here. That's kind of laying it down. So writing it out, letting people know, reflecting on it, bringing it into form into your life so that you can really use it. Everything can be manifested into existence. Yeah. And the act of shedding light on that which is working and patting yourself on the back is really filling your cup and making you, like, it's like increasing your self-worth, you know? Because we don't always have daddy to call us up and be like, I'm so proud of you, even though that's what we all want, right? Daddy, are you proud? I'm going to get a tank top made that says that, for real. And I will make a killing because I think every woman will buy that. And so I say it to myself. I'm like, Mares, that's my nickname that my family calls me. Like, I'm so proud of you. I will literally say that. I will write it down. And I will say it. I will say it to myself. And I live alone now, so I can, like, be really ridiculous and like a lunatic at home. But I will say, like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I say that to myself. And it feels good. It feels really good. And I'm able to receive it. So I challenge you to do that. To say you're proud of yourself. Right now, say it. You do that in your journal writing daily. That's awesome, right? And then you start to appreciate yourself more, and you start to do it. This is why this is a ritual and it's a practice, because then it just becomes very common. You start to focus on what's working and what you're proud of and what you appreciate versus what you're not doing right. And again, it's this deconditioning, and these healthy habits or rituals, same thing, are what help us be conscious creators, and what help us really shift that mindset from lack to abundance. These are just tools, and they're very simple. Like, you can do it in a moment. It just takes the awareness, and that's the conscious part of it. It takes the awareness to stop and say, you know what, I'm really proud of myself for doing that. And if you're so lucky to have wonderful friends that you can talk to about this stuff, that's great. Or a coach or a therapist or a family member, or you do this practice on your own, which is a little bit more involved because you have to sit down and ask yourself these questions. But it has huge and tremendous effects on your life and on the way that you connect to yourself and your people and the world. Yeah, right, Daddy, are you proud? Self-affirmation, yep. It opens, it kind of creates like a channel and a vessel for more of that to come back to you. So let's get proud. And I think especially for women, there's this kind of, I don't know about you all, but when I was a little girl, I was told to be humble and to not brag. And while I understand that, in some respect, I think it also, and I grew up in the South with in a very religious household on one side, and I think and I've worked with a lot of women and who a lot of us can relate that, sometimes we don't want to talk about ourselves in that way. We don't want to sound like we're being cocky or conceited, or bragging. There's like a very negative connotation to that. And it's a little different than what I'm talking about. Acknowledgement is acknowledging yourself when it's due for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes that's okay to do. And the people in your life who love you and who support you, they want you to succeed, and they want to hear the things that you're doing well in. And they might have their own relationship to it, but I think we have to support each other, and encourage each other to share when things are going well and when we're doing things that are well, because what that really does, and it might feel really uncomfortable because you're not used to that, but what it really does is gives room for the other people to do the same, period. It's empowering, And of course, it's all in the way you do it. When it's centered in the heart, then it's not centered from a place of ego. It's centered from the heart, and you can feel that. You can feel when someone is speaking about how they're proud of themselves from the heart versus from like an ego place where they're trying to make you feel bad or something like that. Or if it's not real, you can tell the difference. You can feel it. You can feel the difference. You know who I'm talking about. There's people that that you might roll your eyes at. Politicians, I can think of some. And then there are other people that, or other friends you have, you don't feel that way about, right? There's a difference. Okay, my friends, happy acknowledgement. If you want a little bit more sacred space, go to my bio, tune into my spring flower meditation, which is all about What is blooming and blossoming and creatively abundant for you this spring? Spring is all about growth. It's fertile. We are shaking off the sludge of winter, and it's time to create and to push through the resistance, to spring forward into this beautiful, vivid flower that we all are. It's the season for that here in America. And I also have a new moon in Aries, which is still, we're in a waxing moon now, but the energy is still budding and creating, so it still works. We're in Aries season, which is fire. And it's all about initiation and growth and having that warrior mentality to push through the blocks and push through the resistance so that you are able to blossom and grow. And I think this practice of acknowledgement is what can help you get through the resistance. So tune into that if you're looking for a little bit of fiery energy to help you push through any kind of blocks you're facing in your life or your creative life. Thanks for joining me. Peace, love, and light. Oh! So I've been doing a form of prayer, healing, love requests at the end of my lives, which have been really sweet. And again, this is kind of similar to our acknowledgement practice of just taking a moment to send some love and healing prayers, blessings, whatever you want to call it, whatever feels good to you, to those who need it. So I invite you to just, if you can tune in with me, if you have a little bit to give and to receive, because this is for you too. And as much as we think we're separate from each other in the world, we are not. So first, I just want to send some prayers out to all of those who are affected by the Notre Dame fire. I think that it affects so many of us when this landmark, this historic, beautiful cathedral, this landmark that represents one of the most amazing cities in the world, Paris, France, is up in flames, It's like such a sight, and it just is a reminder that life is so short and anything can happen at any point, and so to really cherish the moments that you have, when anything kind of crazy or tragic happens like that, that's scary. It's always a reminder of that. And if any of you have any prayer or healing requests, you can, as I am tuning into this, you can type it in the comments and I'll speak it out loud just to give it a little bit more energy and that we can all hold it together. So let us send some prayers, love, and healing to all of those affected in Paris, and to in a way, so many of us are affected by this. The cathedral took, I don't know precisely how many years, but I think over generations to build, and how something like that is so old can come down so quickly is amazing in some way. So let us just send our thoughts there. Let us send prayers, love, and healing to those in the world who are suffering in any way. Let us just shed some awareness on them now. And may they receive some peace. And may we wrap them in love. And then I invite you to tune into your own life now and tune in to anyone who could maybe use some extra love, attention, healing, blessings, prayers, or whatever it is. No judgment, big or small. There's really no such a thing when it comes to love. But I invite you to see them, really see them, and hold them in your mind's eye. And you can imagine that you're going down to them, and maybe you're looking over them, watching over them like an angel, or you're giving them a hug, or you're looking into their eyes, or whatever it is. But you can imagine yourself sending a little bit of extra love and healing and blessings or light to them, lifting them up, providing them some peace. Just shining light on them right now, and this act is a prayer and is healing and is felt. And then finally tuning into your own life, sending your own life and your own being some prayers. You can take a moment to say any prayer that you might need right now. Any kind of healing or love or light. Maybe there's somewhere in your life where you are struggling, or you are scared or afraid or sad or angry. Holding you up, sending you love, sending you healing, blessings. Together, let's take a deep breath in and out. Decent lightened edits. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name right. But your prayer is healing in body and love and abundance for myself and my twin. Oh, your twin, bless. And of course, healing and safety to all in Paris. Yes. Wow, you have a twin. That's so special. I was thinking about that the other day, of like how special and like that, and how amazing it is to have to it sounds silly that I'm saying it out loud, but how amazing it is to like have a twin. You know, these two people that are kind of reflections of one another being birthed at the same time is like beyond me. And I know there's such a connection there. So yes, let us all take a moment to send some healing in body and love and abundance for you and your twin right now. See it, feel it, breathe it in. Thank you. Prayers to all. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, twin flame. That's different. That's funny. Twin flame. Oh, that's funny, really funny. Still a twin. Twin flame. You and your twin flame. Especially in that Aries spring season. I bet it's really hot. That's so funny. Still, same thing. But yes, all twins are amazing. That's so funny. Okay, are there any more prayer requests, healing requests that anyone wants to shout out? It's just a little bit more attention and energy to it when you shout it out here, and we can all hold it together. If not, we will wrap it up. Thank you so much for being here. Tune into my spring flower meditation, my Aries new moon workshop. They are at the links in my bio. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.